my people in rivers. I also see my people in Delta, Cross River and Akwa Ibom. Even in Edo State, I can see my people in Enugu. I can see my people in Anambra. I also see my people in Ebonyi, Imo and Aja, Igala and Ijama, Biafra, Allah, Biafra, Allah, Biafra, Allah, Biafra, Allah, Biafra, and I'm the resistance, Biafra, in the Moka, Biafra, Obo the Teleman, Biafra, Obo the how good a place and it could be before God and man to see the unification of all Biafrans. Has it been said already? Let it be done. We are the children of Chukwokike and Biafra. Hey, we are one family. We say DNA. We say that's all day. Descendants of parody, so we are one people. We are traceable to the land of Israel. Our ancestral Biafra, 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 in the Moka, Biafra, over the Biafra. Listen, no more divide and rule. Let's my people and no longer fools. We now know who we are. We are Biafrans. No more Southeast, yo. No more South, yo. No more Nigeria. All we know is Biafra. We are one family. We say DNA. We say that's all there is. Descendants of parody, we are one people. We are traceable to the land of Israel. Our ancestral Biafra, 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 and the resistance Biafra. In the Moka, Biafra, technology, Biafra, with what resources, Biafra, over the Teleman of Biafra, over the Teleman of Biafra, Allah, Biafra, Allah, Biafra, and the resistance, Biafra, over the Teleman of, hey, Mr. Pro, Namo de Kanu, Radio Biafra. Great God of the universe, Eke that created the world, the benevolent God of our ancestors, land of the rising sun. We have gathered again in great numbers today, for a toad does not run in the daylight for nothing. If one sees a toad running in broad daylight, let it be known that something is after its life. Great deluge have assembled against us and must be scattered by a divine tempest sent by you. King that lives above, sweep away not only their shadows, but also their footprints. We have not risen against man or woman. It is you that gave us this land for our refuge. God the Creator, open our ears and our mind to perceive what we will hear today. You are the one that have given us life. Now give us what we use to sustain it. Give us a kingdom with great wisdom and an abundant freedom. It is said that a visitor must not overshadow his host, but when going, may he not depart with a protruding back. The little Ekwe have started at peeling the Ikoro, the great wooden gong. We are experiencing darkness in broad daylight. Please help us to uproot all the nefarious weeds from the length and breadth of our land. Let the kite perch, and let the egret perch, and let the eagle perch. A church should not be overpowered for what God have given to him. Guide and accompany us as we proceed on this our journey, for we are banking on your strength to reach to this our destination. So whoever positions himself before his personal God, may he run himself to exhaustion. Peace must reign in our land. May your will prevail. And let all be according to your will. He said.
And here is a special announcement from the leadership of Biafra government in exile.
I want to use this opportunity to wish every Biafran a happy new year. It is our hope and prayer that this year will bring us closer to our dreams. The hope that we shall be free one day. As we continue to seek for freedom, to free ourselves from the clutches of repressive government and a system that seeks to keep us down perpetually. Let us renew our strength and our hope in this new year to continue our campaign for Biafra to exit from Nigeria and become a free, independent state. The agitation for freedom is not illegal. On the contrary, the agitation for self-determination is a legal right, a right bestowed on every human being by the Almighty God. The right that indigenous peoples have the right to decide where they want to belong and how they want to be governed. As we agitate for political freedom, we must not ignore economic and social freedom too. Therefore, I would like to lay a little emphasis in this new year on the need for us to take gradual steps to re-engineer our inherent social and economic values, one of which is the age-long Igbo apprenticeship system. We saw the very disturbing videos of our young people abusing drugs and other illegal substances that have damaging effects to their health and mental well-being. This is an urgent and pressing danger facing our society. It is the direct effect of unemployment, poor education, and a governance system that has failed them. Our technical colleges are gone. They are not functional anymore. The youth can no longer learn a trade, so that they can have the skills to be self-employed and to cater for themselves. And they no longer learn a business that will set them up to run their own business after 5 to 7 years of practical training and mentorship. They have lost faith in the country because the country abandoned them for far too long, and they see no future in a system that works against them. We must now look inwards and start to re-educate our young people, revive our apprenticeship system, encourage our young people to learn a trade, to humble themselves and serve an established business for a stipulated time, so they can gain the required skills to be able to run their own business at the expiration of their on-the-job training. The nation of Biafra will make considerable investments in education, vocational and technical, apprenticeship programs, giving businesses the incentive to train and develop young people so that they can be productive. Once again, as we ponder through the issues of our core values in this new year and how to save our young people, the future of our country, I want to wish you all a happy and prosperous new year. Let us not relent. Let us not be weary. Let us not get tired in fighting for our freedom. Let us continue to fight in a peaceful, diplomatic, and democratic fashion. Thank you, and God bless you, and may God bless the state of Biafra.
Jehovah Jireh, my provider, Chimamanda. Jehovah Nisi, my healer, Chimamanda. Ocean divider, my redeemer, Chimamanda. Everybody came, my comforter, Chimamanda. Onye nwelu chukwu nwelu nchekwube Chigamanda. Iku kwasi obi na Chineke Chigamanda. Chimamanda. Chimamanda nata. Yaga wati anyamanda. Chimamanda. Mr. Flavor, Ijel Africa, Chigamanda. Mama mo a formuleze Chigamanda nata. Papa mo nyemechi Chigamanda. Kodambaka adoration Chigamanda. TV Joshua in the synagogue Chunamanda. The clergy nile in the Nalwalu Chunamanda. Chimamanda. Chimamanda. Yaga wachi anyamanda. Chimamanda. For
we use this moment to remember anti-apartheid hero and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who passed away on December 26, 2021. He was 90 years old. For many of us who were involved in the anti-apartheid movement, the Archbishop Desmond Tutu was a Jeremiah condemning the atrocities of apartheid. He suffered, but his tongue would not be bound. He was an ancestor, a wisdom maker, because he fought to preserve our humanity. His role as guardian did not end with the dismantling of apartheid, but continued into the present. As chair of the South African TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, he would help Mandela birth a new nation, at least one which attempted to heal through reconciliation and forgiveness instead of retribution. In later years, Tutu would criticize the new leaders of South Africa for failing their people. He was a truth seeker. We remember this man who showed us what it means to be a servant of God, and especially a servant of his people. Archbishop Desmond Tutu, we thank you for showing us what it means to serve our people. We thank you for suffering for us without complaining. We simply thank you for being a true human being. May the ancestors welcome you into their space. May they praise you as I am praising you now for representing them well. May they crown you as the Nobel Committee did in 1984. May you now rest in peace, for you have earned it. Archbishop, friend, guardian, La Lango Olo Kwa Wekazi, Hambaku Kakukre. Rest in peace, warrior. Go safely.
Dear Biafrans, I am sending this seasonal greeting to all of us, especially the younger generation, the younger ones. May the coming new year bring us all we need and all we have hoped for. We all know that we as a people are special in our ways, and this marks us out in the geographical area called Nigeria. We have many enemies, and this singularly necessitates that we should be ready for all odds. You know as much as I do that we are headed to the point of being people endangered for destruction. We shan't allow it. In the face of all this, I want you to be steadfast in what you do and what you believe. When you stop to be what you are, you cease to be who you are. Our fight for freedom is an existential problem. If we fail to achieve our aim, we become perpetual slaves. I call on you to resist. This coming year, we see a renewed surge for our freedom. Be tenacious in purpose. We shall be free soon. We can't afford to lose. We can't afford to be slaves to anybody. If we fail to achieve our objectives, we have thrown away all we have achieved through difficult work, and our status obviously remains worse. Tofiakwa, we can't allow it. Thank you very much.
This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
This is Rose Dama. In this segment of our program, we revisit the question, what does Biafra mean to you, to us? Why must we struggle for this land called Biafra? To some people, Biafra is a child of horrible circumstance. But to most of us, Biafra is the promised land. It may not be flowing with milk and honey, but it is our land, our birthright, the place we call our home, and the land of our ancestors. Biafra is the land that holds our ancestors' bones. To be separated from it or deny this land is to lose our identity, to be disconnected from our ancestors' history and identity. All people fight for a place of their heritage, of their belonging, of their history. We are doing the same. We are engaged in this long journey, this long quest, because we have no other choice but to preserve ourselves in the face of an unprecedented threat. We claim and fight for Biafra because over 50 years ago, when we faced a similar threat and were massacred in a pogrom in various parts of Nigeria, it is to Biafra that we returned as our sacred homeland, as our safe space. Biafra's soil sheltered us. The goddess, Allah, protected us. Allah, earth goddess and mother of Ndibu, she who nurtures Biafra's soil, holds the blood of our fallen heroes and relatives who died in those 4 years of genocidal war waged against us. Let us not forget that although the war ended on January 1971, Biafrans have yet to know the promised peace and the right to equal citizenship in this failed nation called Nigeria. We continue to face various forms of aggression. The massacre of our people in various cities in Nigeria from the north to the west, the destruction of Biafran and particularly Igbo-owned businesses in various parts of the country, attacks against our communities by murderous Fulani herdsmen, and internal destabilization in the form of murderers and the kidnappings by either Nigerian security forces or our own people acting as local terrorists or agents of corrupt and greedy politicians. Thus, we say to those who are engaged in these destructive acts of destabilization, you will not succeed. Our gods, Christian and indigenous, will shield us against our enemies and against those of you who want to destroy us. We therefore renew our determination to fight to restore peace and security to Biafra. We must fight because we have to. We will fight because this Biafra is our land. We will fight because we have no other choice but to defend the hallowed bones of our ancestors and our gods. We must fight because we have a sacred duty to defend ourselves and because we have no other home but Biafra. We must fight because we owe it to the next generation and the generation after that to preserve this land. And to our youth, this land is your land. This land is your inheritance. We recognize that you are suffering. We share your pain and frustrations. We acknowledge your disillusionment with a society that has failed you. We recognize that you are faced with overwhelming threats and pressures, and we honor you for your perseverance. We encourage you to trust in yourselves, to trust that this struggle for Biafra is also for you. Remain steadfast in your education because that will empower you. Recognize that violence, either against yourselves or others, resolve challenges is only temporarily. Violence also begets violence. We therefore encourage you to resist any acts of violence. Yes, we are oppressed today, but we will and cannot remain oppressed forever. We thank you for standing with us in this struggle for our homeland. Together, we will free ourselves so that we may transform our society into a better and more promising place for all of us, but especially for you and generations to come. Welcome to 2022, and may our ancestors and the universe help us achieve the peace and security we seek in this new year. Peace. This is Rose Ama. Happy New Year.
South Africa, United Ontario, Mama, on a few, Mama, Pere, Chigamanda, I got the Nuga, blow back on Chigamanda, Ebele Chuku, Piano, Chigamanda, Apollo Calicia, is your Yimo, Chigamanda, Shop Compo, Manu, Chigamanda, Chimamanda, Chimamanda, munaka akubata mbada baroso dike dikelele omu mama kamasi akubata dike dikelele hallelujah. Oh yes Lord.
I am Rose Ama, and this is BCB. Biafra, Ojukwu struggle to make peace. In this segment, we begin our new series, reading and/or examining writings about Biafra and Africa to understand our contemporary conditions. We begin this series by reading and commenting or analyzing some excerpts from Biafra, selected speeches with journals of events by C. Odumegwu Ojukwu, General of the People's Army. Those of us who went through the Biafra-Nigerian War still recall that aggression. While speaking to several friends a few weeks ago, as I began to prepare this work, we recalled the horrors of that war. We realized that we still carry that trauma. We wondered what would have happened had General Yakubu Gowon and the Supreme Military Council complied with the Aburi Accord of January 1967. How many Biafran lives would have been saved? How many Nigerian lives would have been saved? Would we still be engaged in this protracted struggle to free us, Biafra, from the aggression of the Nigerian federal government? We begin with the Aburi Accord, January 4th and 5th, 1967. The meeting at Aburi, Ghana, was an attempt to prevent all-out war. In fact, Ojukwu's journal entries make this clear. So let's begin with Ojukwu's diary of events, December 1, 1966 to January 5, 1967. I read. December 1 to 4. Demonstrations by refugee workers in Enugu against the denial of their salaries by Lagos. Many organizations in Lagos and Western Nigeria press for withdrawal of Northern Nigeria and non-Yoruba troops from Lagos and the West. Northern troops in these areas are described as, quote, occupation troops in a protectorate, unquote, by Yorubas. Radio Kaduna, Northern Nigeria, jeers that Easterners, quote, got what they deserved, the pogroms, unquote, and appeals to Gowon not to aid the refugee problem of my government. The jeers are followed up by the launching of a book by the Current Issues Society, an organization hastily founded by Northern Nigerian students and supervised by British staff of the Ahmadu Bello University. The propaganda pamphlet contains fictitious atrocities committed against Northerners by Easterners. Discovery of a plot by Gowon government to subvert Eastern region and topple my government. December 8, I formally implement the report of the region's constitutional committee and establish the new provincial administrative system. December 14th, I set up a tribunal, quote, to inquire into the atrocities and other inhuman acts committed against persons of Eastern origin in Northern Nigeria and other parts of the Federal Republic of Nigeria during the month of May 1966. The chairman of the tribunal is Mr. GCM Onyiuke, now Justice of the Biafra Court of Appeal. December 31st. In New Year's Eve broadcast, I urged that instead of launching campaign of calumny and raising boogies of the imaginary plan of the Eastern people to secede or revenge the pogroms, all that Northern Nigeria should do is to offer open repentance for the pogroms. This will lower the high tension in the East and reassure the people. I contact Lieutenant Colonel Gowon on the phone and in a long conversation plead that the new year should bring peace to Nigeria. I renew my pleas for a meeting of the country's military governors outside Nigeria, since he is unwilling to carry out August 19 agreement on repatriation of troops to regions of origin. January 2nd to the 4th, preparations for Aburi talks. January 4 to 5, meeting of all military leaders of Nigeria at Aburi, Ghana. This is the first meeting of the Supreme Military Council since the July 29th, 1966 massacre mutiny. Comments. These entries tell us of a leader interested in resolving the conflict between Eastern Nigeria, as it was then called, and the federal government of Nigeria. If we listen carefully to Ojukwu, he's very focused, rational, and optimistic. One would assume, therefore, that the Nigerian government would adhere to the promises that they make at Aburi. So let's hear what he has to say further. In fact, Ojukwu's tone is not accusatory, except for the moment when he describes the propaganda pamphlet written by the Northern Nigerian students at ABU. Ojukwu does not accuse the federal government of Nigeria of aggression, at least not yet. He does not accuse the federal government of distrusting the East, at least not yet. But he is hopeful that the situation will be resolved and that Nigeria will remain united and at least in peace. So let's see what happens after the conference, after the meeting at Aburi. On January 6th, 1967, Ojukwu gives a post-Aburi press conference. And let's hear what he has to say. I'm going to read again excerpts from this particular section. You are already aware that we have just ended the meeting of the Supreme Military Council in Ghana. It has come to my notice that the public is anxious to have more details of decisions taken. The meeting opened with a joint declaration by all of us, the military leaders, renouncing the use of force as a means of settling the present crisis in Nigeria, and holding ourselves in honor bound by that declaration. That declaration also reaffirmed our faith in discussions and negotiations as the only peaceful means of resolving the crisis in Nigeria. So now look at that. Ojukwu talks about peace. Okay, the idea is a nonviolent resolution of the crisis. Let's continue. Ojukwu writes, having regard to the great fear and suspicion on all parts about the use of force, we thought that this declaration should precede any other business, and I am sure that all Nigerians will welcome it as a source of great relief. The next important matter discussed, and upon which a lot of other things hinged, was the organization of the Nigerian Army. Let me say here that our discussions right through went on in a calm atmosphere, understanding and realism. We in the East have always felt that realism and understanding were lacking in the past in the approach of our problems, And it was very encouraging that our meetings on the 2 days showed the sincere determination by all to find realistic solutions to our problems. Again, Ojukwu is being very, very reasoned here. He describes the problem, all the problems, as collective problems. There is no sense in this section that he says it's primarily Nigerians, but it is collective. The idea of Biafra hasn't emerged yet. If it's there, we don't hear it in this because Ojukwu's language here is working towards peace, focuses on working towards peaceful resolution of the problems. I continue. It was agreed that the army will henceforth be governed by the Supreme Military Council, the chairman of which will be known as Commander-in-Chief and head of the federal military government. There is to be a military headquarters on which the regions will be equally represented. The word is equally represented. So think of what's happening today. How equally represented is the military of today? Let me just continue. Equally represented, and which will be headed by a chief of staff. There shall be an area command in each region under the charge of an area commander, the regions corresponding to the existing ones. There will be a Lagos garrison, which will include Ikeja. For the duration of the military government, military governors will have control over their area commands in matters of internal security. All matters of policy, including appointments and promotions of persons in the executive posts in the armed forces and the police, shall be dealt with by the Supreme Military Council. Any decision affecting the whole country must be determined by the Supreme Military Council. Ojukwu does not say one person, it is this collective body. And when a meeting is not possible, such a matter must be referred to the military governors for comments and concurrence. Listen to this. According to this agreement, these responsibilities are shared responsibilities. It is not a unilateral decision by one person like Buhari appointing all those leaders without consultation. Okay, so let's continue. Let's hear Ojukwu. Subject to the above arrangements, we felt that the existing governmental institutions, namely the Supreme Military Council and the Federal Executive Council, as well as regional executive councils, are workable and should be retained. It was agreed that the Supreme Military Council must collectively approve appointments to the following offices: A, diplomatic and consular posts; B, senior posts in the armed forces and the police; C, superscale federal civil service and federal corporation posts. This particular decision was made as a means of removing friction, it being our unfortunate experience that friction and misunderstanding had in the past bedeviled these appointments. What it means is that no one person will have the right and power to make those appointments alone in the future. Wow. Wow, amazing. All right, so let's continue. Politically, it was unanimously agreed that it was in the interest of the safety of this nation that the regions should move slightly further apart than before. As a prelude to this, it was decided that all decrees and parts of decrees promulgated since the military regime and which detracted from the previous powers of the regional government should be repealed by the 21st of this month. Once this is done and the agreements are implemented, the aim of allowing the regions to operate more independently and of ensuring fairness to all will be achieved. Okay, let's stop here. So what is Ojukwu saying? His press release provides us with a catalog of tasks. It highlights the apportioning of responsibility, or you can say responsibilities to the various positions, various parts of the country, and their leadership. And in this case, there is a sense that there will be a shared leadership. It is not one person making a unilateral decision for everyone. The different regions will have some degree of autonomy to ensure fairness. He emphasizes that also. As we note, the rules and responsibilities have been clearly defined. And so, what then happens? Despite this very clearly defined agreement in terms of who does what, right? You might ask, what happened next? So Ojukwu continues here in this section. Again, this is, the same diary. Okay, so I have hurried to make this statement to you because of the misgivings which I understand are prevalent in the region as a result of this meeting. I recall that just before my departure, when the public did not even know that our meeting was so close, students and other groups of individuals issued resolutions advising me against attending any meeting with my counterparts. You will now be convinced that this meeting was more than necessary and worthwhile. Our duty is to reduce or remove tension in order to leave ourselves free to tackle the most urgent and constructive tasks of economic and social development, which cannot be possible in a state of tension and fear. I have no doubt that all of us who participated in the last discussions are determined to implement the agreements reached. Once this is done, we shall have gone a long way to relieving tension and banishing fear amongst us. It is our plan to meet again soon, this time in Nigeria, to consider other matters arising from our last discussions and those which were not touched. I want here to place on record my personal indebtedness to the government and people of Ghana for making a plane available to convey me to and from the meetings on the 2 days, and for making other arrangements to make this meeting possible. Provided our aims are achieved, we in this country will have cause to remain eternally grateful to Ghana for their constructive initiative. For our part in this country, we must keep calm and avoid actions or words which might create difficulties for our progress in the solution of our problems. God will certainly rescue this nation from collapse and perdition. Amazing, really amazing. Anyone listening to this would look at this meeting and see a proposed attempt to be inclusive and, to work towards a peaceful solution. At no time do we hear from Ojukwu any hint of anger towards the federal government of Nigeria. In fact, he seems quite optimistic here. He is hopeful that the solutions, that these, agreements would be implemented. And once they're implemented, he says this, once they're implemented, it will go, this would go a long way to reducing tension. His focus is a collective economic and social development. And he is absolutely right. There's no way that any region, even the country as a whole, would attain economic and social development in the midst of tension, insecurity, and fear. And in many ways, history has proven him right. Look at what's happening to the country at this moment. All through his press release, his emphasis has been on achieving some resolution, attaining peace, easing tensions. He does not sound like somebody who is eager to go to war. Contrary to what these Northerners have said about us, that we were the aggressors, we were the ones who started the war. No, Ojukwu's voice does not sound as the voice of a person, a leader, whose primary goal, at least at that point, was to go to war. Will they implement the Aburi Accord agreements? We'll find out. Let's take a short break.
Federal key apartment are seized by the Greetings from the studio of BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. Happy New Year, Biafrans, both at home and in diaspora. This is the voice of Ikechukwu Ezerora coming to you from the studio of Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. Hope the new year found us all in good shape. 2021 have come and gone. 2021 can never come back. It's none of memory. Great Biafrans, the resolute few who stood firm against all adversity, those who could not sleep as long as freedom we seek have not been achieved, those who believes that against all odds we will excel. We have been on a long journey on this quest. It has been an uphill battle to extricate ourselves from the shackles of bondage. They did not know why we weep. They did not know why we strive. They did not know what have kept us awake and why sleep have eluded us. How could they when the burden is not on their shoulders? When they are not the one carrying the load, they did not see the hardness of the oppressor's shackles. They have not seen the worn-out sandals riddled with protruding stone thrown our path. We are in a quadrangle. Our cries in the wilderness has been heard by the Almighty God. It's up to us all to proceed to our promised land. It's only our steps that will lead us beyond the Jordan River. To wander in the desert, we will overcome. Today, we have those that doubt our resolve. Today, we have those that feel it is a journey in futility. We are out to prove them wrong. As we have those threatening to drag us to the abyss with a hindering rope, those who are destroying our hard-earned reputation for hard work, those that are destroying our image for resoluteness, those who want to destroy our land, those who want to hinder our diplomatic overtures out of zealousness. 2022 is not for you. 2022 is not for those who feel that we are not serious in what we are doing. Those who feel that we cannot achieve Biafra with common sense. Let the coming year be a year of progress. Do not be an obstacle to the progress in the freedom fight. A lot of water have passed under the bridge. Too much cook spoils the broth. Biafran agitation is not for those who want to make a name for themselves. It's certainly not for those acting with selfish intent. Many lives has been lost needlessly. Millions have given their soul. For their memory, we must desist from acting without the guidance of freedom. Our land cries for sensible mind that will bring the right ideas. Makes this year 2022 to count. Don't allow it to be one of the years that will lead those that pens the lines of history. Remain resolute. The year's resolution is to achieve freedom. But to arrive, consider the parameters. Consider the right path. Consider the right step. Consider what it takes. Losing life needlessly is not to anyone's advantage. Presently, dark clouds now hovers over the lands of the rising sun. Do you not have a hand on the anarchy now pervading our homeland? Biafra is a nation that belongs to all Biafrans. Biafra is a nation that belongs to us all. To bring in a lamp that cannot give us the desired light is not needed at this point in time. For one cannot knowingly infuse pepper on a medication meant for eyesight. Remain focused. This is Ikechukwu Ezerora of PCB. Let's make the year 2022 to count. Have a wonderful day.
It's Gazi Clef Productions.
Zeke. Zora Basawa. Zoro Nogane. Aina sufune no gene, ina mean. Jeep ready chitengene, ina mean. I did really belly kudene, ina mean. Ibo boy fresh to the socks, ina I'm saying. Aina sufune no gene, ina mean. Jeep ready chitengene, ina mean. I did really belly kudene, ina mean. Ibo boy pull up to the socks, ina I'm saying. Waka for by you, hey. Una no kwalo gene, wake one boy de by you. For champagne, but tell them for me. We will win for the bunch of me. He can watch us or no fake can address him. I get tantalizer for appetizer. She did the more from Boladi. Cause if taking the vocal, or never keeping the local. My people is a limo jazzy, living me feel like a hover. Me, my little man, and the social. More music can take any over and bring your sickest rappers. Sum it up, beach, up on the total. But wakana, it's day come wakana. We two moon, what the muddy shop. Kabiro, what and I'm happy. Take any of them, no, you know, do any of them think a mozinka, Kaman, and Juna, Junie, them, and why find cholo. I can't get title. I go 1 year in my uncle, Jack, watch bicycle. Then my free fight color. No bad no go for coro. Manana got picking me while I gave free fight for the bullet Bible. Walk out for by you. Unano Walo Gene. Where can one put the Bible? And we're Gene. Get it, get it. I'm gonna pay you again. I think I can get it. I'm gonna pay you again. In a mega, on your murugo, she need the bad, on your murugo, in a sungri, on your murugo, in a package, on your murugo, or shake it away. I believe this. I don't listen, fight away and tell it away. Fight away, I don't know my kind of way. I will pay you again. Get it, tell it away. I will pay you again. Fight and get it, tell it away. I will pay you again. Aina sufune no gene, ina mean. Jeep ready chitengene, ina mean. I did really belly kudene, ina mean. Ibo boy fresh to the socks, ina I'm saying. Aina sufune no gene, ina mean. Jeep ready chitengene, ina mean. I did really belly kudene, ina mean. Ibo boy pull up to the socks, ina I'm saying. Nagana Jerry, na sufune no gene. Kukuna dono chino, na sufune no gene. I go bandias the buying, she knows sufune no gene. They would do ni swawa, no lufune no gene. Akuchukune zini fiti no la malone. Ubogu no sumeni biano la malobo. Honorable chimo diese. Nina no kwa malone. Ubo chengene no logene. Malobo tewe. Ejike buru di genji. Fino fa ino wagi di genji. Ujo banks in the jajebu. Anyone else in the jajebu. Angele wanu ni bonine. Lepo na mania. Okashinde. Angele wanu ni bonine. Ni bonine.
We return to Ojukwu's journals. Diary of Events, January 10th through February 18th, 1967. This is post-Aburi Accord meeting in Ghana. January 10th, Ojukwu writes, top secret meeting of federal government, of federal permanent secretaries in Lagos with members of the Federal Executive Council without Eastern members. The permanent secretaries criticized Aburi decisions and advised against implementation. This is only January 10th. and events have already started changing. Recall that the press release, which he issued right after the Aburi Accord meeting, was only on January 6th. It is January 10th, only 4 days later. Gowon and his people are already meeting in Lagos without Eastern members. What does it mean that the permanent secretary is criticizing the Aburi decision and advising against implementation? How does this action really engender trust? The very concern that Ojukwu expressed earlier, that past actions have not engendered trust. And now, 4 days later, the actions of Gowon and this permanent secretary, the permanent secretaries, seem to really confirm Ojukwu's earlier comments that, past actions have not necessarily been transparent. Okay, so let's continue. January 14th, meeting of law officers of the Federation in Benin to discuss the legal implications of the Aburi decisions and to list out all decrees which are to be repealed by February 21st, 1966. He says 1966, and it's an error. It's really February 21st, 1967, but I am reading what I have in the journal. January 16th, articles in the Eastern Nigerian press praising Aburi decisions and expressing hope for the future, lessening of tensions. Yes, you heard it. The press in Eastern Nigeria was elated, just like Ojukwu himself. Ojukwu and Easterners at the time were not thinking of war at this point. They were optimistic. So you ask, what would have happened had they implemented the agreements of the accord? Because clearly the events that are now happening, January 10th, seem to suggest that maybe the federal government of Nigeria would not implement the accord. Okay, let's hear what Ojukwu has to say. January 17th and 18th, law officials of the 5 governments of the Nigerian Federation resume Benin meeting on a draft decree of decentralization. January 19th, my first telegram to Gowon expressing joy that the repealing decree is being drafted. January 20th, body of late Major General JTU Aguiyi Ironsi is flown to Enugu, from where it is conveyed by train to Umuahia for internment. Chief Secretary of the federal government circulates permanent secretary's comments on the Accra decision to members of the Supreme Military Council and Federal Executive Council, Eastern members excluded. The comments urge rejection of Aburi decisions. Draft of the decree on decentralization is completed by Lagos regime. The draft, which is a complete departure from Aburi, is rejected by both Eastern and Western Nigeria. Oh my goodness, you would say, what in the world is going on? Okay, we'll just continue. January 21st, Aburi's deadline on decentralization decree expires and nothing has happened. They have not decentralized. January 26th, Gowon's press conference on the Aburi Accord, in which he repudiates the Aburi decisions in accordance with Permanent Secretary's comments on the Accra decisions. January 28th, Aburi's date for the meeting of the Supreme Military Council. No meeting because implementation of the Aburi decisions, which was to be a prelude to the council's meeting, has not been carried out. Wow. If you were Ojukwu at this point, you would be utterly frustrated. And it is clear that this is becoming a very frustrating endeavor. Nothing is happening. Clearly, Nigeria is walking away from implementing the agreed upon decisions at Aburi. Gowon has issued a statement really repudiating those decisions. Is this indicative of actions that aim for peace or peaceful resolution of tensions, as Ojukwu has indicated? Of course not. Maybe I'm imagining things. You decide, you can decide for yourselves. Ojukwu wants peace. Ojukwu wants peaceful resolution of issues. Ojukwu, in fact, in his telegram to Gowon, tells us that he was really, really happy. He was, he says he was happy that something is happening. We don't hear Gowon's, response, of course. So clearly, I would venture to say that the federal government of Nigeria was not working towards peace. They were not interested in peace. If anything, they were probably still interested in domination. In fact, this has been a recurring pattern in our relationship with Nigeria. And we can hear that Ojukwu's frustration and disappointment are mounting here. And, really, as probably the frustration and worries of Easterners at that time, Biafrans, who were worried about what was going to happen next. The Aburi Accord seems to be dissolving, and Biafra's history is now in the making. It is emerging. So we will end this segment of our program with this entry, Ojukwu's entry of January 30th, 1967. January 30th. I addressed another letter to Gowon in which I appealed to him to implement the Aburi Accord in order to, quote, avoid disintegration of Nigeria, unquote. As other decree is prepared by Lagos, and a clause in it arrogates to Gowon the power to declare a state of emergency in any region. The East promptly raises objection. Okay, now the war of aggression has begun. Supreme Military Council as a collective was supposed to make these kinds of decisions, but now it seems as if we are noticing an emerging dictatorship. Gowon has the power to unilaterally make decisions, declare a state of emergency. Biafrans, my people, know yourselves. Let's know our own history. This is our journey. Let's get wiser. This is Rosama. Join us next time for our continuation of this new series. This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra.
Ishekiri, Ejo, Ibanke, Idoma, Ikwere, Urobo, Igbo, Ibibio, Iguacha, Isoko, Ena, Asaba, and others, including our fellow Biafrans in diaspora. Let's come together and support the struggle for the restoration of our motherland, Biafra. Biafrans, we are one family.
IPOB! IPOB! One family!
Okay, hello, young boy. My name is Chikwaz Onwuekpe from Biafra Writers. May I know you, please?
My name is Emmanuel Confidence, but popularly and fondly called Biafra boy.
Okay, I can see that from your attire, the way you dress, and your regalia. You are truly a Biafran. Okay, please, Confidence, from the last song you just released, what does this song portray to the outside world?
The reason is that we want freedom. We no longer want to continue with Nigeria because our leaders has failed us.
Wonderful. Are you an IPOB member?
Yes.
What zone precisely?
New Heaven Zone, about Biafra land.
Okay, what's the name of your coordinator?
Okuba Mazi Okechukwu Nwokocha.
Yes.
Wonderful. You are outspoken indeed. Okay, please, one more question before I leave. You as a young boy, you were born recently in the 21st century. I don't know, how did you know about Biafra, please? Can you just brief us?
It was the story my dad told me.
Wonderful. Okay, lastly, in conclusion, what advice do you intend giving the younger ones coming up, or our elders that are, hiding one side and clamoring for Biafra? What advice do you really have for them?
What I am advising them is to rise up and support Biafra.
Okay, thank you very much. Like I said, you are really a Biafran. My name remains Chikwaz Onwuekpe from Biafra Writers Press. Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Biafra. God bless Nigeria. Please, and whichever way you can support me in my music career, I will so much appreciate it. You can get the copy of this my music titled Biafra Boy on the Stage in Alaba International Market, Lagos, or Biweka Onitsha, Aba, known as Enimba City. Epifeneme. I had there told you I got them to wait Obodo Biafra. As a gospel singer and a social crusader, I am available for music shows if you want me. But you must first contact my manager for approval. His numbers are 080 650 14230, 080 395 88639. Thank you. The youth of Biafra can never give up. All our elders in Biafra land, we plead with you, betray us not. Biafra are crying for injustice. Oh God of heaven, come hear our cry. Oh God of heaven, come hear our cry. Powers and shakers all over the world. Powers and shakers all over the world. We invite you, give us your help. We are treated as nothing, please come to our rescue. All we ask is for justice. All we ask is for freedom. All we ask is to live and let's live. All we ask is to be on our own. Biafra is the solution, no other way. Biafra is the solution.
This is Rose Ama, and this is BCB News Bulletin. According to The Guardian, Nigeria, quote, a faction of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Imo State has condemned last weekend's arrest of son-in-law to former Governor Rochas Okorocha by the police, unquote. Ugwumba Uchenwosu was arrested or kidnapped by masked armed men in uniform on Sunday, December 26, 2021. The newspaper continues, quote, in a statement issued by the APC Acting Publicity Secretary, Michael Anyanwu, the party described the arrest as undemocratic and its manner heinous and violent, insisting that it was more of abduction than arrest. The party urged the police to investigate the incident thoroughly and prosecute the perpetrators in the interest of justice and peace, unquote. But as The Guardian also notes, in a statement issued on December 28th, Oguwike Nwachukwu, Chief Press Secretary and Media Advisor to Governor Hope Uzodinma said, quote, it is incomprehensible that someone who governed Imo for 8 years could back a suspect in a criminal case where the person had already volunteered statement to the police, unquote. Well, Biafrans, the citizens of Imo State and interested parties await the resolution of this emerging political saga, a product of the tensions between Uzodinma and his predecessor, Rochas Okorocha. In other news, Buhari refused to sign the Electoral Act Amendment. The Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021 was an attempt to amend some provisions of the existing Electoral Act 2010. But Buhari claimed that, quote, the amendment as proposed is the violation of the underlying spirit of democracy, which is characterized by freedom of choices, of which political party membership is a voluntary exercise of the constitutional right of freedom of association, unquote. According to the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, quote, among the objectives of the bill is the amendment of the present Section 87 of the Electoral Act 2010 to expunge the provision for the conduct of indirect primaries in the nomination of party candidates, so that henceforth candidates can only emerge through direct primaries, unquote. In a letter titled Withholding of Assent to Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021, ICR continues, quote, Buhari said he received advice from relevant ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government, and also carefully reviewed the electoral bill in the light of the current realities in the country. Arising from the review, you may wish to note that the conduct of elections for the nomination of party candidates solely via direct primaries as envisaged by the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021 has serious adverse legal, financial, economic, and security consequences which cannot be accommodated at the moment considering our nation's peculiarities, unquote. The letter added, quote, the indirect consequences of the issues of high costs and monetization are that it will raise financial crimes and constitute further strain on the economy. It will also stifle smaller parties without the enormous resources required to mobilize all party members for the primaries. This is not healthy for the sustenance of multi-party democracy in Nigeria, unquote. Buhari's letter was read at plenary sessions in the Senate and House of Representatives on December 21. My people, we await to see the resolution of this masquerade. So now Buhari has developed conscience. Okay. We end this news bulletin by recognizing the yet to be resolved case of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, who remains in jail for simply demanding that the rights of Biafrans be recognized. We wish Nnamdi Kanu Happy New Year. We wish him good health. And we also wish him peace and hope that this year would lead to a resolution of this fiasco. According to Punch, Justice Binta Nyako of a federal high court in Abuja has, quote, rescheduled the trial of detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, from January 19th to 18th, 2022. The shift in the trial date followed the abridgment of time granted by the judge following a passionate plea to that effect. Kanu's lead lawyer, Ifeanyi Ejiofor, had approached the court with an application seeking an order of the court to accommodate the trial in November and December last year, which is 2021, as against the earlier January 19th, 2022. Unquote. BCB joins the international voices calling on the federal government of Nigeria to recognize Kanu's human rights and dignity and to release him unconditionally. This concludes our news bulletin. I am Rose Ama for BCB. Join us next time for more news updates and cultural programs. Like us on Facebook and YouTube. We wish you a happy new year and great health and success in this brand new year. Peace.
Welcome to Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. I am Mazi Odogu. In this new series, we bring to you selected articles that speak to our struggle, that speak to the Biafran agitation. We are kickstarting this series with an article by Mark Curtis entitled Britain's New African Empire. And it goes thus. Companies listed on the London Stock Exchange control over $1 trillion worth of Africa's resources in just 5 commodities. That is, oil, gold, diamonds, coal, and platinum. My research for the NGO War on Want, which has just been published, reveals that 101 companies, most of them British, control $305 billion worth of platinum, $276 billion worth of oil, and $216 billion worth of coal at current market prices. The scramble of Africa is proceeding apace, with the result that African governments have largely handed over their treasure. Tanzania's gold, Zambia's copper, South Africa's platinum and coal, and Botswana's diamonds are all dominated by London-listed companies. They have mines or mineral licenses in 37 African countries and control vast swaths of Africa's land. Their concessions cover a staggering 1.03 million square kilometers on the continent. This is over 4 times the size of the United Kingdom and nearly 1/20th of sub-Saharan Africa's total landmass. China's resources grab have been widely vilified, but the major foreign takeover of Africa's natural resources and riches spring from a lot closer to home. Many African governments depend on mineral resources for revenues, yet the extent of foreign ownership means that most wealth is being extracted along with the minerals. In only a minority of mining operations do African governments have a shareholding. Company tax payments are minimal due to low tax rates, while governments often provide companies with generous incentives such as corporation tax holidays. Companies are also able to avoid paying taxes by their use of tax havens. Of the 101 London-listed companies, 25 are actually incorporated in tax havens, principally the British Virgin Islands. It is estimated that Africa loses around 35 billion a year in illicit financial flows out of the continent and a further $46 billion a year in multinational company profits taken from operations in Africa. United Kingdom companies increasingly dominant role in Africa, which is akin to a new colonialism, is being facilitated by British governments, conservative and Labour alike. 4 policies stand out. First, Whitehall has long been a fierce advocate of liberalized trade and investment regimes in Africa that provide access to markets for foreign companies. It is largely opposed to African countries putting up regulatory or protectionist barriers to such investments, the sort of policies where have often been used by successful developers in East Asia. Second, Britain has been a world leader in advocating low corporate taxes in Africa, including in the extractive sector. Third, British policy has done nothing to challenge multinational companies using tax havens. Indeed, the global infrastructure of tax havens is largely a British creation. Fourth, British governments have constantly espoused only voluntary mechanisms for companies to monitor their human rights impacts. They are opposed to enhancing international legally binding mechanisms to curb abuses. The result is that Africa, the world's poorest continent, is being further impoverished. Recent research calculated for the first time all the financial inflows and outflows to and from sub-Saharan Africa to gauge whether Africa is being helped or exploited by the rest of the world. It found that $134 billion flows into the continent each year, mainly in the form of loans, foreign investment, and aid. However, $192 billion is taken out, mainly in profits made by foreign companies and tax dodging. The result is that Africa suffers a net loss of $58 billion a year. British mining companies and their government backers are contributing to this drainage of wealth. We need to radically rethink the notion that Britain is helping Africa to develop. The UK's large aid program is, among other things, being used to promote African policies from which British corporations will further profit. British policy in Africa, and indeed that of African elites, needs to be challenged and substantially changed if we are serious about promoting long-term economic development of the continent. As I said, this article was written by Mark Curtis and can also be seen or found in various online sources. Next time, we'll bring to you again another interesting article that speaks to what holds Africa down, to what holds Biafra down. And so for us to confront this struggle squarely for our freedom, we must operate at this level to confront this elephant that has held us together, that has held us down for a very long time. And that was why Ojukwu declared the principles of the Biafran revolution called the Ahia Declaration. Therein, in the Ahia Declaration, you will see more reasons why this economic bondage must be untangled. Thank you very much for listening. Maazi Odogu.
This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. Thank you for listening to us today. Join us next time for news, cultural, and educational programs. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
onye ọbụla omenala Igbo na-agụ agụ na-atọ ụtọ ya ga-ekele egwu a ọ bụrụ ga-ekunye ọtọgbọ anya isolu gba okpuru ga-anọ na na-esoro isi no matter ya I mean from the sabak the man of gala yeah man baza ya sige hasana baza na just malala la tama ba wa hatta kambalo abana banan kambe kama kama kancha bas kana I know it's not easy. From Monday to Sunday, I ain't leave for call bazaar. Spending money by the bar. I'm the only one on the bar. Boys in my but you got to know what's a look at that. I'm happy to come back. I'm a banana come in. I'm a cancha. What's my banana want for me? I feel ready for me. Flavor na Fino mana ndị anyị si na onye ọbụla na-alụ onye karịrị ya anya na-eme gịnị ọ na-ekiri ya ekiri ebe e tụrụ ego ya bụrụ ụsa ekene m unu aba m bụ Peter Edochie a na-akpọ m Ebubedike
This we must To serve we resolute.